Before we discuss what you need to do to build self-confidence that lasts, there was a study done with monkeys that's worth mentioning now. Monkeys were put in a cage and put in a high-stress situation. Their stress hormones in their brains were then measured. After the baseline levels were measured, scientists changed none of the things that were causing the monkeys stress, such as loud noises and lighting, but they did change one thing. They put another monkey in the cage. After the other monkey was let in the cage, the stress hormones of these monkeys were measured again, and their stress hormones were reduced by about 50%. The monkey's circumstances didn't change, but having a buddy in there with him made it easier to deal with a stressful circumstance. We often fail to see how crucial the support we receive in our relationships are in life. Your brain chemistry literally changes when you get support, and your immune system improves also. But in order to fully reap the benefits of support from others, we need to let them into our cages. Now, your cage can represent anything that hinders you from being free. This can be your doubts, insecurities, and your fears. Opening up to someone and being vulnerable enough to allow them in your cage often has the same effect it did for the monkeys in that study. Letting people in to this vulnerable part of your life doesn't necessarily change your stressful circumstances, but it can help you realize you're not alone, and that you're still accepted and cared for despite your weaknesses. Having this type of support from people in your life can give you the endurance to keep going, and the confidence to overcome what is hindering you from being free. So my question for you now is, who are you going to let into your cage? Once you have that person or people in mind, be courageous to start sharing these vulnerable parts of your life, and start sharing what has you caged. Another thing I've realized is that sustainable confidence doesn't necessarily come from a specific achievement, but rather from constant growth and progress. To give yourself the best chance of having this type of confidence is embracing your gap. Here's what I mean. At this current moment, you have two realities. The first one is where you currently are, and the second is where you'd like to be. Now, this gap between who you are and who you are at your fullest potential can be so large that it's discouraging. In fact, many people try to overcome this negative feeling by making excuses to justify their gaps, or they may engage in escape activities like binge watching TV, consuming drugs and alcohol, and many other self-defeating behaviors. These approaches are common and often happen when we don't embrace our gap. It will take some self-awareness on your part to realize if you've been making excuses or seeking escape behaviors. I know I've certainly have been doing both in my life. But then it will take some self-compassion. Maybe you've made some mistakes in the past, and maybe you feel that you should be farther along at this stage in your life than you are. But be willing to accept where you are, and accept that you've done the best you could with what you had. And stop being so critical. As author Louise Hayes wisely puts it, remember, you've been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. As you fully accept where you are and let go of the guilt and shame you've been holding on to, it will be easier to close the gap from who you are to who you're destined to be. Okay, after you have had the courage to let someone into your cage and have used self-compassion to embrace your gap to growth, the next thing to do is start creating experiences. Too often, we wait for the right time. Maybe when someone has showed us everything we need to do, or maybe when we feel confident enough to try. But life doesn't work that way. You see, confidence often grows from not knowing if you can do something, yet trying anyway and succeeding. And it's those successful moments that lead you to experiencing a higher belief in yourself and your abilities. Now, I'm not suggesting you be foolish and take actions without any guidance, but I am saying that experiences have a powerful effect on you. Research done in brain circuitry shows that new capacities grow when we have to grapple with a problem ourselves, instead of hearing someone else tell us how to fix it or watching someone else fix it for us. Research shows we remember about 10 to 20% of what we read or hear or see, but 80% of what we experience in the learning process. You could spend years reading book after book and watching video after video on how to do whatever it is that you want to do. But until you're willing to start having experiences that lead to your growth, you may have a lot of knowledge, but no tangible results. Are you fully ready to get started right now? Probably not, but that's kind of my point. You get ready by experiences, reflecting on them, and having more and more experiences throughout your life. If you find this video encouraging, I'm happy to hear it. But make sure you're putting these practices into action through experiences that build that self-confidence that leads you to becoming a more confident and powerful person. Shout out to Manuel H for suggesting I make a video around this topic. And if you'd like to see a video topic covered by me in the future, please leave a comment below and I can see what I can do. This is your friend Michael, helping you transform your thinking for the better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.